Hello, good morning. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. We are live this Saturday morning, guys. It's a depressing Saturday morning, isn't it? Because it's one of those Saturday mornings where there's no football. Well, there's not real football. There's football, I suppose. We're talking about, football, obviously, because there's international football. Obviously, England won against Albania. Nadim Bayrami was, as we know, largely fucking useless as usual. But look, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I get bored during international breaks. I really do, because there's no real football. I think as well, because obviously we're coming off the back of that fantastic victory over Celtic. You kind of want to just get straight back into it, don't you? I mean, you want to get back into the next game. You want to get on with the season. You want to get the season, rolling again. And then this international break comes up. I mean, look, I get the World Cup qualifiers thing. Look, I mean, I understand World Cup qualifiers. Yeah, great, wonderful. Look, fine. We have to have a World Cup every 4 years and a European Championships every 2 years. That's just life. That's just what happens. And, some of us like it, some of us don't like it. That's just life. But Nations League, I mean, come on, seriously. They're glorified friendlies. They are seriously just glorified friendlies. And they're boring and they're rubbish and they're a waste of time, waste of effort. And you get players going off and playing and getting injured. And you just think, great, wonderful. We're paying their fucking wages. We're the ones looking after them on a daily basis, and you're getting to use them for 2 weeks out of 6 weeks, 8 weeks out of the year, and you're injuring my players. I mean, I just don't like international football. I think it's an absolute waste of time. It really, really is an absolute waste of time and effort. We're going to reflect a little bit on obviously how our players got on last night. Some players did play last night. I know Mo Diamonde, Hadji, all got on last night. So did Hamza. We'll have a little look at that. I didn't watch the England game last night, just so you know. I was too busy running around after my daughter, the dancer. So there we go. Now we're going to talk a little bit about John Souttar this morning. News about his contract, news about a future leadership role for John Souttar. We're going to talk a little bit of management stuff as well. News around that's going on at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit also about Hamza Igaman. New links to Hamza from elsewhere around Europe. So we're going to talk about a fair few things this morning here on the podcast. Obviously, as well, come in, join in, drop your opinions, drop your comments, drop whatever you want to drop. We'll get to your comments throughout the morning. Obviously, as well, if you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, like the video, comment, share. Remember as well, membership is only 99p. Obviously well worth the 99p. You don't have to pay for anything else on this channel. We don't ask you for any money. We don't hide stuff behind paywalls. We don't do any of that. So, please obviously check it out. Right, let's have a look at some comments that are going on. We've also got some poll running as well. If you want to vote in the poll, that'd be brilliant. Who would you like as captain of Rangers next season, guys? Would you like John Souttar, as has been muted this morning? We're going to talk about that this morning. Or would you like Nicholas Raskin? Or would you like James Tavernier back and captain? Or would you like someone else? Now, 5% if you want James Tavernier back as captain. Look, I haven't got a problem with Tav. if you're voting for Tav, could you tell me why you want James Tavernier as captain next season? Because I don't think he's a captain. You know, whatever you think of him as a footballer and him playing, I don't think he's a captain. He's not a leader of men. Let me know why you think that. So if you voted for Tavernier and you're not a Celtic fan, just trolling the channel, please obviously tell me why. Some comments this morning. Tamsin says, John Souttar is a leader of men, should be captain, great defender, and probably here for the long haul. I mean, that is a good point. That is a good point. That is a good point. Under no circumstances should Tav be here next season. And Tamsin says, and as for Dessers, any Rangers fan that thinks he's decent knows less than a Celtic fan about football. You wouldn't get a game in League One. Angry Norseman says, Souttar or Raskin, both equally good, just not Tav, especially not Tav, but he will be if Barry stays. I've heard that mentioned a fair few times. You know, Airwolf says, Hamza got on last night. King says, as an Englishman, do you watch England, Owen? No, I don't, mate. I'm not actually, you know what, mate? I'm not actually an England fan. You might find this hard to believe, but I was born in the northeast of England. Yes, I was born in Durham in the northeast of England. I'm a northeasterner. Don't support either of the two northeastern teams. Don't like Sunderland particularly. Have respect for Newcastle United, but I'm not a fan of either of the two northeast teams. So look, I mean, look, I am English. Yes, I was born in England, but I'm actually I support Wales. That's my team. I support Wales. Welsh rugby fan, big Welsh rugby fan. Horrible time to be a Welsh rugby fan at the moment, especially after that humiliation against England at Cardiff and our robbery against Scotland, where we were robbed against Scotland. But I'm actually a Welsh fan. I am Wales. I'm part Welsh. My great grandfather was Welsh. He was born in the north of Wales, born in Mold in North Wales. So I actually support Wales football and I support Wales rugby. So my allegiance is to Wales, mate. So I'm not actually any allegiance to England. My allegiance is to Wales, mate. Airwolf says he only watches World Cup and Euros, not the qualifiers or friendlies. Howdy all. You can't be bothered with international games. Is it Igaman or Igaman? I'll have a look at that. There you go, Igaman. Yeah, I think it is with the A. Grant says Raskin for me as Souttar is too injury prone. And Michael White says, how about Barron? I think Barron is, I think Grant's right. He's a grafter, not quite a leader yet. Wolf, we'll get to the manager talk. Don't worry, mate. I think Barron is a good footballer. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a very fine footballer. I think, when he plays, he works exceptionally hard. He's a very good footballer. But I don't think he's a leader of men. I don't think he is a player who will go out there, inspire in terms of, getting in people's ears, putting his arm around players, yelling at players, the same way that Souttar will, the same way that Raskin will. I don't think he does those things. So the other thing, of course, you've got to think about Conor Barron is, realistically, is he a first-team regular? Is he someone who's going to play everything? Is he going to play every week? Well, I don't think he is. I mean, the thing I think with Raskin and Souttar is that if Raskin and Souttar are fit and they are available week in, week out, they are both going to start every single week. I think Raskin and Souttar are two of the first names on your team sheet, along with Jack Butland. So, whereas Conor Barron, I think, is kind of an added extra. He gets games, he doesn't get games. It depends on the formation we use, depends on how we play. I don't think Barron is a first-team regular at this moment in time, so I think you'd struggle to make him a captain at this point in time. Guys, I'm going to show you this. This is a coaster I got. Sad looking at coasters, but this is my new coaster. Who likes my new coaster? Look at that. That's quality, that, isn't it? Love that. Nice new coaster that is. My mum got me that from a garden, actually weirdly, from a garden centre in England. Weird. There you go. There we go. We are, by the way, just a bit of a heads up, guys. We're planning to put together some GRN merchandise going forward. Mugs, coasters, T-shirts, and key rings. So we're going to look at that going forward, guys. Right. Look, I mean, Grant says I think they've got a short list. I think they probably have got a short list. I mean, let's have a little reflection, shall we, on last night. Yanis Hadji was on the bench for Romania last night. Romania lost 1-0 despite dominating the game against Bosnia-Herzegovina. The game was in Romania as well, so it's a bit of a shock result, them losing 1-0 in that. It was a World Cup qualifier. They had the majority of the ball. Hadji was on the bench. Hadji did get onto the pitch, was rated 4 out of 5 on by SofaScore, was very highly thought of, did very well when he came on, apparently. So that's positive that he got on. It's positive that he played well. It's not so positive, obviously, that they lost. But, look, at least he got on the pitch. That's a positive. So Hadji did get on, which was good. Now, Mo Diamonde, he was obviously, Mo had that situation, didn't he, when he was called up by Ghana because of the fact, obviously, he'd spent a lot of time in Ghana going through the Dare to Dream Academy. But he obviously chose to stick to his roots going with the Ivory Coast. And he got on last night. He actually came on last night, played very well by all accounts in their 1-0 win over Burundi. I've got to say, you look at that Ivory Coast team, there's some fucking good footballers in that Ivory Coast team, man. Jesus, there's Haller, there's Gesson, Kessel, Kamara, Crasso, Adingra, Sangare. They've got some very good foot. I mean, Ibrahim Sangare is a first-team regular for Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, top 5 Premier League team, yet he's on the bench for the Ivory Coast. So, I mean, Mo Diamonde on the bench, getting on, played. I mean, fair play to the lad. Fair play to the lad. He got on last night, got a game, did well. So, fair play to him. And look, I think as much as we decry international football, the more experience our lads get playing international football, it's the better for us, I suppose, at the end of the day. It gives them a more varied experience. It gives them perhaps some high-level competition at times. But yeah, I mean, good stuff. Hamza Rigaman, as Wolf already alluded to, did get on for Morocco last night. Morocco won 2-1 against Niger. Got to be careful how you say that word. Niger. Niger apparently is the correct pronunciation. Again, that Morocco team, bloody hell, there's some serious footballers in that Morocco team. I mean, that Morocco team for me is going to be challenging for the World Cup, I think, in a couple of years' time. I mean, you look at their team; they've got Hakimi, Amrabat, Ben Seguir, Brahim Diaz, El Nasri, Rahimi. They had on the bench. They had Sabari, PSV player, quality player. Tajaleen, great player. El Kanousis, good footballer. Mazraoui. There's some serious talent in that Morocco team. So Hamza did well to get a game for me. I think, Hamza did well coming on last night, got a game. And all, again, it's like I said, with I think, when we talked about Nicholas Raskin getting on for Belgium the other night, it's all good news for Rangers because at the end of the day, if you're saying that, look, this player is a great player at club level, he scores goals, he creates goals, he does whatever, you want his position to do. He does what it says on the tin effectively. But he's also an international. Well, the moment you say he's an international, he's a full international, he plays for the international squad, you're adding a couple of 3 million onto his price tag. So, you're generating more money, you're generating more income. And, certainly those teams that are sniffing around Hamza, and there is a number of teams currently sniffing around Hamza, you're looking at asking them for more money than they're perhaps prepared to pay at this stage because of the fact that, that he is worth a little bit more now he's an international. So, overall, positive news for Rangers last night. Václav Černý, obviously, I think will play tonight. Czechia play tonight in a World Cup qualifying against the Faroe Islands, which I think obviously will be a bit of a walkover because the Faroe Islands are shite. Absolutely shite. But there we go. I mean, the Faroe Islands are so bad, they probably, I think even Dumbarton would give them a game. I think even Clathmacudden, if that's how you say it, would give them a game. I think even the Dog and Duck would give the Faroe Islands a game, if I'm being honest with you. I think I'd go and get 11 people from outside my house and they'd probably give the Faroe Islands a decent game. But there we go. Grant says in the live chat, he says, for me, if Barry can win all the remaining games, then he should get a 1-year rolling contract. You can't say he needs to progress in Europe as Bilbao is a very tough tie. I mean, look, yeah, you make a great point, but Grant, I mean, I think the thing we've got to think about with the Bilbao game, and look, I think, we've all got expectations. We've all got hopes and dreams as regards Europa because of the fact that in the past we've done it. We've gone past more tricky teams, we've beat more tricky teams. I know we lost to Benfica last year with a very similar squad to this one. But, people talk about, well, we did it before. We got to the final against Eintracht Frankfurt, and then we beat Borussia Dortmund. We beat Leipzig. We beat Crvena Zvezda. We beat Braga. We beat some of these teams on the route. But I mean, look, I'm not trying to be a killjoy or trying to, Mr. Negative Nancy here, but if you look at the team that beat Borussia Dortmund, you know, at the Westfalenstadion, if you look at that team that Rangers. So if you look at that team that night, that you look, I'm being funny, but that better than this team. You look at the team that night. I mean, the team that night that beat Borussia at the Westfalen was McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Barisic, Bassi. I mean, that back four were better at that stage. I mean, Goldson, I know, and Tavernier and Barisic all fell off, but they were all better at that stage of their career than they are now. Lundstrom was going through a purple patch. Ryan Jack, Scotty Arfield, Joe Aribo, Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos. I mean, for me, that was a lot better team than we've got now. And the subs that day, we had Aaron Ramsey, Glenn Kamara, James Sands, Scotty Wright, Ahmed Diallo, Scott Davis, Robbie McCrory, King. I mean, that team was a lot better than this team. I mean, I would take Ryan Kent over either of our two wingers now. I'd take Alfie over either of our two wingers, any of our strikers right now. I'd take Joe Aribo over any of our 10s at this moment in time. So I think that was a better team, wasn't it? And yeah, you're right, Grant. It is going to be a very, very, very tough game against Bilbao. They are fourth in La Liga after all. And I mean, La Liga is top five, isn't it? Any league where you've got to play Atletico, Barca and Real on a regular basis is a tough league, isn't it? It really is. I wonder if the 49ers are aware of Rangers man obsession. If they don't appoint Barry, the Rangers man brigade will be up in arms. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope to God we can get away from this. It needs to be a Rangers man. It needs to be a Rangers man. To me, I couldn't give a monkeys who he used to play for, what he used to do. As long as the guy is good at his job, as long as the guy gets Rangers to play good, attractive, attacking football and winning football, I genuinely couldn't give a monkeys if he's never been Ibrox in his entire life. I genuinely couldn't care less if the first time he sees Ibrox is the first time he walks through those doors on the day he's appointed. As long as he does a good job for the club and takes the club forward, I genuinely couldn't care less. And I think if you've got an obsession with it, it has to be a Rangers man. It has to be a Rangers man. You are putting the club in a position where it is limiting the talent pool it can pick from. Really, you genuinely are. Yeah, exactly what I mean. It don't need to be a Rangers man, but it needs to be a winning team. That's all we want. That's all we want. This has been a really great week for the club with the amount of international players we now have, says John. Absolutely. Only because of the clowns that run the club. Hey mate, hey Jordan, how you doing, buddy? We can possibly hold our own in Europe, but it's domestic games that are a bit worrying, says Michael White. I mean, we should be doing a hell of a lot better domestically. And I think the ironic thing, Michael, with that one is we could actually get to the end of the season having beaten Celtic in 3 out of the 4 old firms. If we win the one at Ibrox in April, then we've beaten them 3 out of 4 times this season. Yet we could lose the league by double digits, by 10 points to them. And it shows how much the domestic form has hurt us this season, how much our inability to beat the likes of Motherwell, St Mirren, and Kilmarnock has hurt us. So to me, it's awful, isn't it? It is the domestic form, and that's what we've got to sort. I don't think Europe is the issue. Europe, I don't think has ever been the issue. We seem to always raise our game in Europe. We always seem to play well in Europe, no matter what. But yeah, domestically it's hurt us. And like I said, we could finish the season having won. Yeah, didn't work well. I agree. The present board are the present board are absolute useless morons. They really are. They couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. They genuinely couldn't. I'm good, David. I'm not much, mate. Not much yet. We've been talking about international football a bit. There we go. We still aren't beating them. That's what really when it really counts. That's the thing. I think we've got to start to put together Um, for me, next season, no matter who's the manager, no matter which players we bring in over the summer, we've got to obviously, number one, continue this winning run against Celtic. So that starts in April at Ibrox, win that game. And then we take it on to next season and we win the first Old Firm game then, whether it's at Parkhead or whether it's at Ibrox. But domestically, we've got to start putting away teams those teams that we play. We've got to start putting away the St Johnstones, the Motherwells, the St Mirrens, the Dundees, the Dundee United on a regular basis, and not just putting them away, putting them to the sword and finishing them properly. There's no way on this earth, and it's going to be even more, I think, next season with the 25 million investment from the 49ers. And I'm going to use Philippe Clement's argument. Clement used to constantly go on about the fact, that Rangers, are lucky to try and compete with the likes of Celtic, the likes of Tottenham, the likes of Manchester United, because our budget is so much less. They have a bigger checkbook than us, as he used to say. Well, I'm sorry, it works the other way. It works the other way. Because at the end of the day, we have got a vastly superior budget and a vastly superior amount of money to St Johnstone, to Hearts, to Hibs, to Dundee United, even to Aberdeen. You look at our squad value, their squad value. It's night and day, absolute night and day. Current poll, guys, with 40 votes in the thing, 3% of you saying Tav. Like I said, if you're voting Tav, tell me why you want Tav as captain, or are you just a Celtic fan trolling? 28% say Suter, 68% say Raskin, and 2% say other. Please comment, but they haven't commented who they want as captain. Interesting. Please comment if you don't want them as captain. Airwolf says, in September, we are 1 point behind. Guarantee we lose when the pressure is on. Airwolf, I don't know. It depends. It all depends, Airwolf, for me, who the new manager is and what players we bring in over the summer. That's what it depends on. Blue Nose John says, is there anything in the rumour about Brenda going to Tottenham? I don't know. I mean, look, I don't think so. I think if Tottenham sack Ange, which I think they will, I think Ange will be gone at the end of the season. I mean, I don't think Daniel Levy will sack him now. I think he'll wait till, because of the Europa League, I think he'll still obviously keep going. I think if they get knocked out of the Europa League, then there's a good chance he could get the sack. I don't think Ange will get the sack at this point yet. I do think he will be gone at the season's end. Tottenham are getting worse, and they genuinely are getting worse. I've got some mates who are Tottenham fans, and they all fucking hate Ange. They can't stand him. And there's a cracking song on the internet now about Ange, basically slagging him off. And it's fat Ange this, fat Ange that. Tottenham are a joke. Down here in England, Tottenham are a joke. They're an absolute joke of a football club, and they should be doing a hell of a lot better than they're doing. I mean, if you look at their starting 11 when fit, they've got some fantastic footballers: Brennan Johnson, Heung-min Son, Van der Ven, Romero, Pedro Porro, James Maddison, Kulusevski. They've got some good footballers. So I don't know why they're not doing better than they are. Perhaps it's Ange, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Brenda will go though. I don't think Brenda will go. Do I trust Coppen with 25 million? Yeah, I trust Coppen with 25 million more than I trust the manager with 25 million. It's the new model though, isn't it, Airwolf? That's it. It's the new model. The new model very much is, the situation is very much down to the fact that, the sporting directors now buy players, that it's not the manager that buys the players, so that when you sack a manager, you're not having to constantly change your playing staff over. I mean, Coppen, I think, take out the Cortez situation, which nobody could have. I mean, giving him a kind of a bit of a break on this one. Nobody could have foreseen the Oscar Cortez situation with all the injuries, because he's not a player that suffered from a whole load of injuries before. But a lot of the signings that the guys made are good signings. Diamonde is a good signing. Barron is a good signing. Igerman is a good signing. Tierney is a good signing. So I trust him more. Certainly. The low block is which we couldn't find a way through has cost us this league. We don't fear them on the East End. I think we'll turn them over again. I really do. Yeah, I mean, the low block has really found us out this season. And I think whoever comes in as the manager, whether it be Barry, and Barry's got, so many games now to prove that he can do it against the low block. To have a go. I'll tell you one thing. I don't think teams are low blocking against us as much as they used to. I mean, if you go back and you watch some of the games against some of the so-called bigger teams in Scotland, the Hearts, the Dundees, and so on and so forth, they're much more willing to come out and play against us now because they don't fear us as much. So I don't think we're having as much of the low block as we've had this season. But yeah, I think whoever comes in has to be someone who can adapt, who can change, and I think. Look, one of the things that hurt Philippe Clement, David, was that he didn't adapt. He didn't change tactics. He wasn't tactically flexible. He didn't move the team around. He didn't move the opposition team around. And he came out with stupid remarks like changing formation or confuse the players. Well, quite clearly it doesn't, because Barry does it on a regular basis. And I think, at the end of the day, you've got to move the players around. You've got to change formation to suit who you're playing against. And if plan A isn't working, if 4-2-3-1 isn't working against a low block, you go 4-4-2, you go 4-2-4, you go 3-4-1-2, you go 3-4-3. You try different things out to try and break them down. And Barry's done that more than Philippe Clement and had more success. I think the big tester going forward is going to be, looking domestically now. We've got Dundee next up at Dens Park, and then we've got Hibernian. How do we come through those domestic games? Do we see an improvement in level of performance? Do we see a tactical flexibility? Do we see a variance in attacking points around the pitch? Do we see a variance in how we move the opposition around? Do we see a fluidity to our attack? That's what we've got to see. And I think if Barry can do that, and if he can beat these lower teams in the SPL, and he can finish the season unbeaten in the SPL, he stands himself in a great stead of getting the job. Of course he does. You'd be stupid to think otherwise. But to me, the low block, has cost us a lot this season. Has. Airwolf says, Muscat is an acolyte of Ange Ball, works well against poor sides, may scalp St Mirren, but gubbed in Europe. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it works well in Europe. I think, Tottenham have done better in Europe because of the fact they have such talented players, individual brilliance from Kulusevski, from Atta, from Son, from Maddison, from... players of that ilk, Brennan Johnson, etc., Bergval. They've got some very good individual players. So, perhaps Ange Ball gets covered up a little bit in Europe because of the talent of the squad. I don't know. I mean, I don't watch Tottenham. I don't watch a lot of Tottenham football. So, yeah, absolutely. Morning, Janet. How you doing? Brenda will ship out first opportunity now that we are going to be able to add more quality to our team. Sometimes what's that saying again? It's better to die a hero than live long enough to become the villain. Maybe that's what Brendan Rodgers is using. Maybe he wins the treble this season and then goes back down south. And Celtic fans, may kick up. I don't think to the extent they would have done. I don't think they will kick off as much about him leaving. I really don't. If Barry is up for the job, his past record will cost him. If he's up against Martin, Muscat, etc., he doesn't have the body of work, and that's got to be an assessment that the owners. The new owners make, Airwolf, that Parag Marath, that Kavanagh, that whoever appoints the new manager has to look at. They've got to look at, the body of work. I suppose it kind of doesn't matter in a way because of the fact that he managed such lower teams in Scotland. Alloa, Kielty Hearts, Ayr, etc., are not the same standard as Rangers. So the players you get, the players you've got to work with, the talent of those players is different. So maybe that goes in his favour. I don't know. I mean, it could well be that. That mob aren't as good as they think they are in Europe proves every year. Agreed on that one, Grant. Blue knows that'll be Spurs. Fuck, then 2 septic managers taking them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Janet. I think if Tottenham were to come out and announce that Fat Ange had left and that they were replacing him with Brendan Rodgers, I think the Tottenham fan base would be absolutely up in arms, personally. I think they would be absolutely apoplectic about it. Because Rodgers' record in England isn't great. His record in England isn't great. I mean, yes, he nearly won the league with Liverpool, but the next season when he left them, they were in a dire, but they were dire. They were playing really badly and they were failing abysmally. Leicester, he effectively sowed the seeds of Leicester's relegation, before he left. I mean, I know he won the cup with them, but he effectively sowed the seeds of their relegation. So he's never really done anything in England. He's never really proved himself in England. So I think if Tottenham were to take Brendan Rodgers as their manager, I think that there'd be a lot of very, very unhappy Tottenham fans. Very unhappy Tottenham fans. I would love Jose as manager. It won't happen. Just my choice. I actually think it will be a big name to oversee the present backroom staff. Could well be, maybe. The only thing I'd say, William, is do you think Barry would take a step back? You know, it's historically in any sport really difficult from someone to go from the top job to then step down to a secondary job. You know, if you're a manager, you don't want to become an assistant manager. In the same way that, you know, in the NFL, you wouldn't have a head coach stepping down to be an assistant coach. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Remember, a Celtic fan told me Rodgers done better than Klopp at Liverpool. Yeah, well, that's not actually true, is it? Because Jurgen Klopp won the Champions League, he won the league, he won the FA Cup, he won the Carabao Cup. He had them top four every season. So I don't actually think that Celtic fan knows what he's talking about. And also the quality of football under Jurgen Klopp was a hell of a lot better than it was under Brendan Rodgers. As soon as Rangers start to put pressure on that mob, Rodgers starting to panic and doubt creeping in. What a blockbuster signing Jose would be. Absolutely. I would like Big Soapy as captain and his brother beside him, says William. Darren, new name in the live chat. Welcome, Darren. Says, give Barry Ferguson the manager's job. You know, I don't think it's being discounted. I mean, look, we'll talk a little bit about the management thing now. I want to talk about John Suter this morning as well. Talk of a new contract for him. But, you know, I mean, Rangers manager, the next Rangers manager. I think, you know, Barry is garnering an awful lot of favour in amongst Rangers fans at the moment. And obviously the result against Fenerbahce, the win against Celtic, I think, you know, is all kind of putting him, you know, up there at this moment in time. But, you know, if you look at the next odds, the Rangers manager next odds, let's have a little look, shall we, at next Rangers manager odds. Okay, let's see if I can bring this up on the screen, shall we? See if it wants to play this morning. Let's have a little look. So we're going to have a quick look at the Rangers manager odds. Let's see if I can share the screen with you. Might not do it. It might do it. It might not do it. I don't know. Look. So next Rangers manager odds. I don't know who's the favourite. Hang on. What is going on with this morning? Let's hope this works. I don't want to join, thank you. Don't want to join, go away. Okay, let's have a little look. Okay, it won't let me access it. Okay, it won't let me bring up the Bet365 screen. Okay, so the next Ranger manager odds are as follows. It's now gone to another window. I don't want to look at that. Thank you. Let's have a little look. Next Ranger manager odds. So Russell Martin is favourite at 7-4. Barry Ferguson at 5-2. Steven Gerrard at 9-2. Jose Mourinho at 10-1. Rafa Benitez at 16-1. Derek McInnes 25-1. Liam Rosenior, who is the current manager of Hull, I think he is, 33-1. Marco Rose, whoever the hell he is, does he make wine? 33-1. Kjetil Knutsen 33-1. Stephen Davis 33-1. That's with Bet365. Odds Checker, which obviously does all the odds from across the network, has got Russell Martin as favourite, Barry Ferguson as second favourite. Gennaro Gattuso at 20-1, guys. If you fancy a bit of Rina Gattuso as manager, 20-1. Anyone take a bit of 20-1 on that one? But yeah, that's the odds. 7-4, Russell Martin as favourite at this moment in time. MBGA Maga says, Suitor for next season captain. He's never off the injury table. A bit of irony in that statement. Preeminent Scottish club should have a Scottish captain, says Blue Nose John. Barry Ferguson's backroom team, absolutely no doubt about it. Airwolf says, are the 49ers playing to the gallery a bit if they give him the job? Doing job temporary and doing it full time are two different things. I mean, that's a great point. That is a great point. Being a permanent manager and being a temporary manager is two very different things. And the pressure that you get being permanent manager is a hell of a lot more than you get being interim manager. So Barry would have to experience a very different set of things. There you go. He's the RB Leipzig manager. Thank you, John. I wasn't aware of who. I don't watch a great deal of German football, mate. So there we go. Let's have a look. Russell Martin, I'll crack the jokes. Still think the new owner will already know who they want. They won't be leaving anything to chance, says Janet. Grant says, I don't want Jose, Rafa or the likes. These guys have always been able to buy 40, 50 million pound players. They won't have the luxury at Rangers. True. there we go, is the Leipzig manager. Why Russell Martin? I mean, Russell Martin, I think, obviously is someone who Rafa is more a director of football now, possibly. I mean, can we say well done to Hamza and Raskin? We did say that at the start. We did talk about that. We talked about the international football. Yeah, congratulations to Raskin and Hamza on their first international appointments. Raskin is the best centre midfielder in our league and should be getting tied down to a longer-term contract. Agreed. Russell Martin, I think Russell Martin is getting mentioned because, again, he's someone who has knowledge of Rangers. He's Scottish. He plays good football. He took Southampton from League One to the Championship. He took Southampton up. Obviously, he's done a good job. Rose was at Dortmund. There we go. Exactly. Fantastic. Take it for what you will. I've heard the club had Wagner as their preference immediately following PC sacking. Barry may be changing that preference, though. Yeah, I mean, that's another one. David Wagner, who the ex-Norwich manager, ex-Huddersfield manager, managed in the Premier League, best mate of Jurgen Klopp, good manager, plays fast attacking. He's one that Wagner is a gegenpress guy. He's a heavy metal football kind of guy. He's a Kloppite. He's a guy who likes to play the game like Klopp played it. Very much full attacking, full attack, full press. 90 minutes of just go, attack. 90 minutes of heavy metal football. I mean, that's what you get with Wagner. You get 90 minutes of heavy metal football. Airwolf says Russell Martin. Yeah, Russell Martin. No, that is one of the weaknesses of Russell Martin is he does only have one style of football. He very much is a guy who wants to play the possession game, wants to play pass. He doesn't have a plan B. That is a drawback of Russell Martin. It really is. So, he's someone who is a good manager. Don't get me wrong. Anybody who can get a team promoted from the Championship is a decent manager because the Championship's one of the toughest leagues in the world to get out of. But, he's been found out at the Premier League level. His style doesn't work when you haven't got as good a players. Now, in Scotland, he'd probably be okay because we've got better players than Aberdeen, better players than Dundee, better players than Dundee United, better players than Hibs and Hearts. But in Europe, would it work in Europe? Probably not, because of the fact that we come up against better teams than us in Europe. So it swings and roundabouts with Russell Martin. Manager. And I think to some extent that's what you're getting with Barry Ferguson, isn't he? You're getting a pragmatic manager. You get who we're playing against. So yeah, I do get that, John. I do get that, mate. I do get that. MBG says the boss is in the building. Don't fucking change it, for fuck's sake. So he obviously a big fan of Barry. Maga, they knew who they wanted as Leeds manager long before the fans knew. Just think they'll do. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did. They obviously appointed Daniel Farke, who's the Leeds manager. That's who they wanted. They've stuck by him, even though they didn't go up last season. They still stuck by Daniel Farke this season, and they've been rewarded for it because Leeds are top of the Championship. But I mean, Wagner is a name that keeps coming up. There we go. Barry wouldn't accept the 1-year rolling contract. No one else will again, and it will cost a fortune to get rid of them. Might not work out. Very true. Although Pep does. Done with possession-based football. It's meaning, yes, you've got an end product. Absolutely. Glasgow is totally different from Leeds. Janet, should you understand that Leeds do not have the same standard as Glasgow Rangers? Yeah, I mean, obviously Leeds have a different standard because they play in the Championship, and then when they get promoted to the Premier League, realistically, they know they're not going to win trophies because they're not Newcastle, they're not Manchester United, they're not Manchester City, they're not Arsenal, they're not Chelsea, they're not Liverpool. So they're not even Aston Villa to some degree. So they're not going to compete for trophies. So, yeah, I mean, look, I agree. Leeds are a big club. They are a big club. They're not as big as us, anywhere near as big as us. But, they are a big club in England. Any big city in England that has a one club city, tends to be quite a big club. I mean, Newcastle United have been obviously the obvious examples of that one. My dream would be Thomas Frank, says Michael White. I mean, that would be Thomas Frank's a very good manager, but would you get him to leave? Would you get him to leave Brentford? Brentford are doing very well in the Premier League, top 10 Premier League. I don't think he's going to come. Knutson will be a class appointment, a winner as a manager. However, he has a cushy number. I mean, I suppose the worry with Kjetil Knutson is, transferring from being a manager in Norway to transferring to being a manager in Scotland and in British football. The pressure he must be under as Molde manager will be a hell of a lot less than what he'd be under as Rangers manager. And it's a major, it's a huge step up from being managing in the Norwegian league to managing Rangers is just massive. And it's whether he could cope with that. At the end of the day, what is there to lose keeping Barry for a year and see what happens if we are challenging just behind them? That's an improvement. Maga, of course, I know Rangers are bigger than Leeds. That's why I'm saying the new owners will already have been looking. Yeah, I mean, look, Leeds is the test thing. Cameron, yeah. Look at what happened at Forest, though, and anything is possible if the 49ers invest properly in Leeds. Yeah, I mean, Forest are doing great this season. They're what, top 4? They're 3rd, I think, in the Premier League at the moment. I mean, big props to their manager. Nuno Espirito Santo is doing a fabulous job as manager of Forest, isn't he? He's doing a brilliant job as the manager there. He's looking great. So yeah, anything's possible, I suppose, with money. Who would I prefer as a new manager? Mate, look, I'll be honest with you. That's a really difficult question. It's like I've said, it's like I've said, I like, look, if you're talking realistic, obviously realistic is different to unrealistic. I mean, if I could pick anybody to be Rangers manager, I'd say Jurgen Klopp, because I love Jurgen Klopp. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's amazing. But, realistically, Jurgen Klopp's not going to leave a £5 million a year salary as head of sports at Red Bull to come and work for Rangers, is he? So, I'll be honest with you. I've got real worries about giving Barry the job on a permanent basis. Don't get me wrong. I think he's doing a brilliant job. I think he's doing a very good job as manager at the moment. And I think he's done very well to get past Fenner. He did well to beat Celtic. I just have concerns that he's doing well at the moment because, one, he's got the new manager bounce. He's got that, he's not Philippe Clement. So he's come in, he's brought a fresh approach, he's brought a breath of fresh air into the building, and the players have suddenly raised their game because it's a new manager. And you always get a new manager bounce when you get a new manager. But my worry is, if you look back across his experience and across what he's done as manager, that is he long-term, once he's appointed on a permanent basis and that new manager bounce has gone, is he going to have the tactical nous, the talent to take this team on to actually beat Celtic when the games are on the line, when there's a league title to be won, when there's a Scottish Cup to be won, when there's a Champions League to compete in? That's my worry with Barry Ferguson, that once he's permanent, will he have the same effect that he's having now as a temporary? And I think being a temporary manager is so different to being a permanent manager. And the pressure is so much higher. Personally, I wouldn't be, look, I'm not saying that I don't want Barry Ferguson as manager. If he is appointed, fantastic. I'll back him 1,000,000% because I love the guy. I think he's great. If you ask me now, David, do I think he should be the manager next season? I say no. No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't be the new manager next season. We should get someone from outside. We should get someone who has more experience, someone who has a clear ethos, someone who has a track record of doing well. Who that is, look, I like David Wagner. I like Kevin Muscat. I like Steven Gerrard. I'm a Gerrard fan. Okay, his track record is not great, but I just worry that if Ferguson gets the job on the permanent basis, that he won't be able to carry this on because of the fact, like I said, the difference between being a permanent Rangers manager and being a temporary Rangers manager is so different. Normality channel. I'll look at your channel later, Riley Taylor. Yeah, the ladies team are playing today. Best of luck to the ladies. Do we keep Barry and the coaching staff no matter who we get? Look, I don't know, because like I keep saying, is Barry going to accept a step down? Will you be happy going from doing the top job to then being a coach or being an assistant? And could that cause confusion amongst the players? That's the question. Barry, my idol, still wears number 6 in amateur football as a tribute to him. This coaching setup is for the future. Ismail Charai, the Moroccan tactician, not getting the credit he deserves? Good point. I think what the Americans can do for us, we're in the UEL, last 8 with one of the worst squads in the years. Agreed, would have a better squad with the money. Good. Barry lost 2 of 5. I'm just thinking if this was Kettlewell, fans would be clambering for him. Point. He's in the boat where Gerrard was because Gerrard was coming from the under-18s at the time, etc., etc. True. Bluebell says, it's not just about Barry, it's about the management team as a whole. It's very well thought out. Barry has the passion, McCann for the tactics. Time will tell. I'm all in right now. Look, I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm just saying that I've got concerns going forward that can he carry this on once you've got the hype out of the way, when the league is actually on the line, when the cup is actually on the line, when games actually are on the line. Because I think, as much as every old firm matters, and it does, we're going through a period where realistically, domestically, nothing really matters anymore because every fixture is a dead rubber because we've got nothing to play for anymore. We can't win the league. We can't win the cup. There's nothing to play for. I'm going to Clapham the Cudden game. It's 2:00. It's the best team in the league, so wish me luck. Good luck, buddy. That squad isn't bad, Blue Nose, John. 4 quality additions should reclaim. I mean, look, I agree. I don't think the squad is as bad as people say it is. I think there are some good players in the Rangers squad. It's just how they were being used tactically, how they were being organised, how they were being asked to play under Clement that was leading to them not playing well. I mean, you look at Igman, you look at Cherney, you look at Raskan, you look at Diamonde, you look at Suter, you look at Ridvan. There's good players in that team. Of course there is. Good thing about Barry Ferguson, he's got passion, absolutely. Blue Nose, do you think we need to change the team drastically? I don't think we need to change the team drastically. I do think that we need... we do need to kind of look at this in terms of, looking at what we've got and where we need to add. And look, I don't think we need masses and masses of players. I think we need 4 or 5 players, certainly, to improve. History has it shown that foreigners don't work, even with the other side. They've had their most successful under 2 Northern Irish Catholics. Oh, yes, why not check out the channel? Okay, mate, drop a link. I say that too. Grant, 4 quality additions. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, Janet. That's what I'm saying. I think the new owners will have their sights set on the type of manager Rangers need at the moment. I think they will have an idea already who they want. Let's call Borough Rangers. Blue Nose says the vitally important to qualify for the Champions League next season, the bridge to financial chasm with the other side. I agree. That is the absolute priority next season, is to get the Champions League back at Ibrox, because the money is absolutely vital. The money is just so important. Getting in that Champions League money, getting in that massive funds from the Champions League is so important. Absolutely. 100% agree on that one. 100% agree on that one. This team has just shown that we need a bit of motivation because they had it in Europe, but not in the league. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've said all season, guys, go back and check out what some of my videos and some of the TikToks I put out. I don't think this team is as bad as people have made it out to be. I just genuinely think it was how they were being asked to play, how they were organised, the tactics, the lack of flexibility, the lack of adaptation from a very poor manager in Philippe Clement. I think, now they've been given a bit of freedom to play, it does help. It does help. I hope the Americans have the strength to hold on to our best assets, Igman and Raskin, for a proper title challenge next season before they consider selling. Look, mate, I think they will, because, Hugster, I think everyone recognises that if you give Raskin 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons down the line, his value is just going to soar because he's going to look better and better. Let's say, for example, next season, Raskin comes back and plays as well as he's playing this season, plays in the Champions League, plays well, plays for Belgium, plays well. You're looking at being able to get 25, 30 million for him. You're looking at Matt O'Reilly money for him, come selling time. Come selling time. Look, the other thing I wanted to cover this morning was John Suter. So John Suter is he is out of contract. I think it's 2026 he's out of contract. There's talk now of Rangers going to Suter with a new contract. That this is something the club are now looking at, because obviously they want to avoid the situation they've got at the moment. They're going to have again this season where Tom Lawrence walks for nothing when Yanis Hadji could walk for nothing, for example. They're going to want a situation where they tie down some of these assets and make sure that that we're not facing summers where we're losing a large proportion of our players for nothing. Suter's under contract until May the 31st, 2026. So there's talk of him being given a new contract. Now, look, this is a very positive thing. And I think, Suter is someone we need to tie down to a long-term deal. And I think, if you look at Rangers when Suter wasn't playing, and Rangers now Suter is playing, the team just looks so much better. It does look so much better. It looks more solid. It looks better at the back. It looks more organised at the back. I mean, if you go back to the Fener game in Istanbul and you look at Suter that night, he was immense. And I get what people say about Dessers for the goal and the assist, but to me that night, John Suter was my man of the match. He was absolutely outstanding that night. Absolutely outstanding. He held it together at the back. He is another one who I think we do need to tie down to a new deal. And there's talk of a new 3-year deal for Suter. There's also talk of captaincy as well for John Suter. That's another one that's being talked about, a possible captaincy for John Suter, that he's been lined up to be the next captain of Rangers. Now, he did captain the team in pre-season, if you remember, against Ajax. So he has got a bit of experience there. He is someone that we do need to look at for a new deal, for definite, I think. 100% for definite, we do need to look at a new deal for him. For definite. But yeah, I mean, look, it's something that apparently the club are looking at. And it was interesting this morning that, yet again, he is being talked of as being the captain. And that's why I got the poll up this morning. Who should be the captain next season? 10% of you saying, look, guys, I still haven't had anybody tell me why James Tavernier should be captain still next season. Guys, whoever's voting for that, please let me know. Unless you're just a Celtic fan that's trolling. 22% say Suter, 63% say Raskin, 5% say someone else, but still haven't commented who else they would like. Look, at the end of the day, we do need to look, I think, at getting John Suter tied down to a new contract. And you're right about Raskin as well. I mean, Raskin's under contract until 2027 at Rangers. May 2027. So again, another one we need to be looking at. We're coming up for 18 months. So again, we need to be looking at him down to a new contract. So we're not constantly having these summers where we lose players, and we lose players that are worth a lot of money for absolutely jack all. David Phillips says, think about coming into training and have Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, Shagger, and a Moroccan genius who won the Under-23s World Cup as your coaching setup. This is the future, says David Phillips. Let's hope so. Yeah, we don't need any more injury-prone players, correct? I mean, we've got one in Oscar Cortez, obviously. We need to extend Raskin or sell him this summer. We do need to extend Raskin, definitely. Don't think the Americans are going to squander their investment by selling our best players. They'll probably be adding to. So, coaching staff must stay in the building for next season. We'll see. I suppose, like I said, the only thing I'd say on that, John, is if you don't appoint Barry Ferguson as the manager and you appoint someone from outside, a David Wagner, a Russell Martin, a Kjetil Knutsen, whoever, they're going to want to bring their own staff in, aren't they? They're going to want to. All managers want their own staff. They don't want to inherit a staff. That's just how it works, isn't it? That's just how it works. Would love to keep Suter, but he has to try and stay injury free. Too many games we missed him through injury. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. Look, I mean, John Suter for me is one of the best defenders in Scotland. I mean, people could talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers or whatever he's called, Carthorse-Vickers, but he isn't as good as Suter. He just isn't as good as Suter. And I think, look, Suter, yes, the injuries don't help with him, and he does miss a lot of games, but he is, for me, pound for pound, the best defender in Scotland. He puts his body on the line to block. He's physical. He's good in the air. He's good on the ground. He's got an all-round game. And as I've said on numerous occasions, yes, he has got a mistake in him, but that's why he plays for Rangers. He doesn't play for Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool or Manchester City or Aston Villa or Newcastle United, because that's the problem with him. He has that one mistake in him. And his injury history, I suppose, as well. That's why he plays for us. He doesn't play top 4 England, in the top 6, top 10 in the English Premier League. He's a good player. He's a very good player. And if we can get him tied down to 2-3 year contract, then it's got to happen. And it's got to happen sooner rather than later. And I really hope that this is the situation that we're facing now, that we are starting to get these players, these young players, or these older players, the players that are seen as assets and good assets for this club are staying on, that are being tied down to deals. And that's what we need to be doing. It's good that the club are obviously looking at it. Guys, please obviously smash that like and subscribe to the channel, please, as well. Blue Nose says the other side keep the coaching staff in the building when the manager moves on. They do. But like I said, if you look across England and some of the other ones, then you do have that situation where they do want their own coaching staff. I'm just kind of reporting on what I've seen. Hope the new owners will fund move for Tierney, a new centre-half, a partner soon for Suter, a creative playmaker, and Seema on the left wing. Title challenge will be on. USA. Yeah, look, I mean, Huckster, I'd love to see Seema back in the building. I love Seema. You know I love Seema. Tierney on one wing, Seema on the other. Igaman or a new striker in the middle. Gotta happen, mate. Gotta happen. It would be great, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely fabulous. Of course it would. You know, it would really stand us in good stead going forward, and it would give us a great chance of winning, wouldn't it? You know, of actually winning the league. You know, give us a real potent attacking threat. You know, Tierney's got double-figure goals this season. Seema got double-figure goals last season. Igaman's got double-figure goals this season. Yeah, so you look, I mean, you've got to say that would work really, really well. But, you know, you've got to go with Igaman up top. You've got to put him through the middle. You can't play him out on the wing. You can't play him anywhere else. You can't pick Cyril Dessers over Hamza Igaman. You know, so for me, Igaman's got to be given the starts from now on, hasn't he, going forward? You know, you've got to look at Igaman as your starting number 9. I mean, if we go into the game against Dundee and Dessers starts over Igaman, then something's quite clearly wrong. You know, Dessers is not half the player that Igaman is. He just isn't. Seema's missed about 10 weeks again this season. Only played 20 games in France, 4 goals. Need to move on from that one. I mean, obviously his injury history is not great, is it? That is a downside of Seema, but he's still a fantastic footballer. Absolutely brilliant footballer. Really, really good. Who would Raskin go to if he left? He's not going to go to a top 4 club in England. That's the point. What's the point in leaving unless it's just for the money? I would say, Grant, if anyone, you're going to be looking at the Brightons, Brentfords, Villas of this world at this moment in time. That's who you're going to be looking at for Raskin. You know, they obviously, you know, Brighton bought O'Reilly, didn't they, from Celtic? Brentford do buy that type of player. Bournemouth, another team again. Yes, none of those clubs are as big as Rangers, but they're all top 10 Premier League teams that are going to be playing European football next season. So, you know, there's that side of it, I suppose, isn't there? That side of it. I don't know. It's good, though. I mean, look, the big thing for me, though, guys, I don't know about you lot, but to me, it feels a lot more positive. It really does feel a lot more positive at the moment. You know, there's a lot more positivity around the club. There's a lot more sense that we're moving in the right direction. You know, we're going to get a new manager. Hopefully, he'll take the club forward. We've got new owners coming in. We've got some players here at the club now without the summer signings who are very, very good footballers. You know, we've got Raskin, we've got Diamonde, we've got Tierney, he's only on loan, we've got Suter, we've got Ridvan, you know, we've got some good players. So, you know, the club's moving forward. Yeah, Chelsea, he did say he wanted to go to Chelsea, but Chelsea, why would you want to go to Chelsea? Chelsea have got like 48 players on their squad at the moment. I mean, midfielders, they've got some midfielders. They've got some absolute midfielders. They've got, I mean, you look at the Chelsea side that they put out in their last game against Arsenal, and you look at their midfield that they played that day. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Chelsea v Arsenal, midfield. Let's have a little look. Line up that day. Let's have a look. So their midfield that day was Caicedo, James, and Fernandes. Caicedo is a hell of a player. Enzo Fernandez is a hell of a player. They had Dewsbury Hall on the bench, who can't get a game, who was quality. Remio Lavia, who's another very good footballer. There's Trevor Chavaloa on the bench. Jorgen, they've got some good players at Chelsea. You know, I suppose for Raskin, he's got to look at it, and he's got to say, you know, realistically, is he going to get a game if he went to Chelsea? Probably not. He's going to sit on the bench, isn't he? He's going to sit on the bench there. So, look, I mean, realistically, you probably know, yes, not looking at Chelsea at this moment in time. If Raskin wanted to move to England, you'd be looking, like I said, at Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, Villa, possibly even Newcastle, teams like that. That's where you'd be looking at now. That's where you'd be looking at him now. Yeah, absolutely. Water from his bottle. Yeah, we've got the water joke still ongoing. We love a water joke here on Glasgow Raiders Nation. Always the place for a good water joke, isn't it? Great, guys. Love it. Love a good water joke. Love a good water joke. Right, guys, that is it for this morning. We will be back this evening for the fans forum this evening. It's 8:35 here on the channel, so please come and join in for that. On the way out, please obviously comment, like, share, Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Help the channel move forward. We're not far from getting to 7,200 subscribers. So please, obviously, help us get to there. The aim, guys, the target for this season is to get to 8,000 subscribers by the end of the season. That is the aim. 8,000 subs by the end of the season, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming in this morning. Thank you for coming along and watching. As always, guys, please remember, we are the people.